All right, so we are working on law of cosines. Now, the last time we worked with law of sines, which allowed us to solve angles and sides of a triangle that weren't a right triangle. In Unit 8, we did right triangles. And one thing that was kind of limiting about the law of sines, say we have A, B, and C, we had to have a ratio between an angle and its opposing side, so the opposite side. We had to have, say we had angle A, we would need at least one side or the side A so that we could set up the ratios equal to each other. The law of cosines allows us to do that when we do not have the opposing side. So here we have two given scenarios, right? If we have a side, an angle, and a side, that's what the SAS stands for, or a side, side, side. And so one thing that we need to do is we need to look at the information that we're given for our triangle, decide which information we have, whether we have a side angle side, like this here on the left, or if we have a side, side, side. It just depends on what given information. Now, these formulas that we have here, they look like they're a lot, and it can be, but they're all very similar. They're set up in very similar ratios. So while, yes, these are three separate formulas, they're really just one formula. And same thing on this. So while we are looking at 6 different formulas here, they're kind of just 2 different formulas. Now, on the left here, okay, this is when we need to find a missing side, and that's what this says right here. And then side, side, side. Now, here we're given all sides. That's what that means. And so this is when we need to find a missing angle. Now I'll go through kind of the examples of each one and kind of when we use it and what information we have. But just know we're looking at one other thing that I like to look at is we have 2 A's. Now, what I just highlighted on the screen, this left-hand side, this is our side length. So this is our little a. But we have 2 A's. We have our side and our angle there on the right. And then we have 2 copies of B in there. And then, I already did that color. And then we got 2 copies of C. Each one is represented twice. The A, or the missing side, we do need its opposing angle. And so that's kind of how we choose which one is given to us. And then when we end, this is very important here, is on the left-hand side, we will need to square root the right-hand side. Once again, I'll show how all this works. And then on this other one, we will need to do second cosine or inverse cosine. So cosine -1 in order to solve what we have on the right-hand side of the equation. Now, if you are in my classroom, I do have these written up on the board, and I've tried to color code them kind of like they are here on the screen, just so that we know what we're looking at and how they're associated and kind of how they're related. But we'll use these, we decide which information we need, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, so first problem, we're given a little bit of information here. This is 48 degrees. Our B value, this is 7. And then our C value over here, this one is 5. Okay. And so what I was talking about earlier is when we use the law of sines, we need a angle and its opposing side. I don't have C, right? I don't have the angle of C. I do not have the angle of B. That's also a question mark. And then I do not have the side length of A. So I don't have an angle and its opposing side. Now, in law of sines, sometimes we were given two different angles, and we could use those two angles to find the third just by minusing them from 180. We don't have that option here because we only have one angle. So we're going to use the law of sines. Now I have a side. Let's get the right colors here. Well, I have a side, an angle, and a side. And so I'm going to use these here on the left, the formulas, and I'll go back up and look at it again. But notice here I have angle A. Now this is very important because as I go up and look at my formulas, in order for these to work, I need all of the information that is on the right-hand side of my equal sign. So as I look here, I have angle A. Okay, I have a C, I have B. So as I rewrite this, I'm going to be using this formula that is the A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2 times A, or nope, 2 times B, C, and then that is times by the cosine of my capital A. I have all of this information. I have, except for little a, but I have everything on the right-hand side of this equal sign. So as I fill this out, I'm going to have A squared equals, and then little b is 7, so I got 7 squared, plus C squared, which is 5 squared, minus 2 times, once again, B is 7, and then C is 5, and then lastly, I'm timesing by the cosine of A, and A is 48 degrees. Now, once I have this, I can actually plug this whole thing into Desmos. And we're just simplifying. Wow, So here, I'm going to come, let's see, I want Desmos. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this out real quick. And I am going to type this in. Now, I'm not going to get my final answer at this point, which is just fine, but I'm going to go 7 squared plus 5 squared minus 2. I'm going to do 2 sets of parentheses. And then I got a 7 and a 5. And then lastly, I have the cosine of 48. Okay. And I feel like I messed this up, and I did, because that's supposed to be a 5, not a 2. Now, when I click enter, make sure I have this whole thing. All right, that looks good. Cosine of 48. So I have my A squared. A squared is equal to 27.1608 and change. Now, in order for me to get the A by itself, I do need to take the square root of both of those sides. One thing on Desmos that I really do like quite a bit is if I click enter, what it does is it saves what I put in up above. And the reason why it's nice is here I can go second, and then if I look down on my keypad, right below the 3, there's this ANS. And the ANS stands for answer or previous answer. And if I click that, it goes and it puts my previous answer in. And in the calculator, that's great, but what's actually really nice is if I go in and I notice that I've messed somewhere, like earlier, I had put a 2 instead of a 5. And so what happens is as I go in and make those changes, it actually updates the problems that I have later. So if I go in and put my 5, it gives me that 27. It goes and updates down here. So I've got my A is equal to 5.2. So A is, not A squared. A is equal to 5.2. All right, now that we have all 3 sides, we can go back up and look at our other formulas. In this case, we are missing angle B, so we're going to use this cosine of B here. Whoops. So I come here. Let me go with, let's go with red. So we got cosine of b is equal to our side length b. And we're going to do this fraction here. So we're going to go b squared, which is 7 squared, and then we're going to minus. And we can do any of them, the a or c, but we're just going to follow what we have on the board and up top. So it's going to be a squared, which is 5.2 squared, minus 5 squared. And then down on the bottom, we're going to have negative 2 times 5.2, which is our A side, and then our C side, which is 5. And we can put this into our calculator. And let me kind of get rid of a few things here. Let's clear that out. Got a fraction. So I got 7 squared minus 5.2 squared minus 5 squared all over negative 2. Whoops. And then I've got 5.2 over 5. And that gives me this, so I got cosine of b, and it gives me this ratio here. It gives me this really small number, 0.058846. Okay. In order for us to get this cosine by itself, I'm going to have to actually take the inverse cosine, 0.05846, and so on, equals b. And so if I click enter, go function, inverse cosine, and then I can do the last answer. And that is going to give me that b is equal to 86.64. So equals 86.6. And lastly, to find C, C is going to equal our 180 minus our two angles. So we got 48 minus 86.6. And click enter. So I got 180 minus 48 minus 86.6. And don't forget your decimal places. And that's going to give me 45.4. And so that gives me my 3 answers that I needed. I needed this one, that one, need everything kind of here on that right hand side. Okay, let's try this again. So this time I am starting off with all 3 sides. So I have A is equal to 5, B is equal to 7, and C is equal to 9. Now, if I have side, 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 what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick an angle that I need to find. In this case, I'll go cosine of A is equal to, and then I split these up. So now I'm going to start with my A squared. So I got 5 squared minus my B squared, which is 7 squared minus 9 squared. Now this is going off of this formula, this first one. I'm just looking off of this right here. Okay. And coming down, whoops. And so I'm going to go negative 2, and then I'm going to times my B side, which is 7, and then times it by 9. And this is what I'm going to put in my calculator. Now, as I look at it, I can take another shortcut. Now, I know because I'm finding an angle that I'm going to have to do the inverse cosine. So what I can do is in my calculator, I can do inverse cosine minus these things. And this will give me my final answer. So we'll come here. So if I do inverse cosine, come back to main. So I got 5 squared minus 7 squared minus 9 squared. So negative 2. And then I'm going to do 7 and my 9. And that is going to give me a 33.6. So this is A is going to be 33.6. Now, what I can do is I can do the same thing for my next angle. So this time I'm going to do angle B. So I got cosine And then I'm going to start with my side b. So I got 7 squared minus my a squared. So I got 9 squared minus, oh, that's not it. That's 5 squared minus 9 squared over negative 2 times 5 times 9, which is my a side, which is 5, and my c side, which is 9. Now, I know, once again, I'm going to have to take the inverse cosine. And so if I want, I can just do this all in, calculate it once, negative 2, 5, 9, and that's going to give me my final answer. So I'm going to come back down here, do inverse cosine, do my fraction. So I got 7 squared minus 5 squared minus 9 squared all over negative 2, and then 5 and 9, which is going to give me 50.7, 50.7. Now to find angle C, because this is B, so angle C is going to be that 180, and let me do this in a different color. Oh, let's use green. C is going to be 180, because I have 2 of the angles, so I've got angle, so minus angle A, so it's 33.9 minus 50.7, and that is going to give me 180 minus 33.9 minus 50.7. It's going to be 95C equals 95.4. Okay. I'll be back Monday, and appreciate you. See you then.